Perhaps we haven't met. I'm Discord.
Another chaotic battle!
Taste the scream of death.
Greetings, comrades. This is 88 Galu, and we're back with another chaotic deck review. This one, just a few notifications before we get right into it. This will probably be my last chaotic deck review for a long time. I will go over this in more detail on a Gelu chat episode that I will hopefully be making soon. But in basic summary, I am going to be taking a gap year and will not have access to my computer or plethora of cards, as I can only bring a few more select items with me. So this will probably be the last chaotic deck review, but it won't be the last chaotic video, as hopefully I'll be able to make more videos on trading cards online, just of like showcasing matches and stuff. That's the hope. Also, as you guys may notice, I'm using a new camera today. This is one that I'll be using on the same over the course of the previously mentioned year. So tell me if you guys think that this is better or worse quality than the previous camera I've been using for these videos. I think I've already noticed that this one has like focuses in less, but the general image is better quality, even though it's not in better focus necessarily. Not sure how much science that is that I just shot out, but whatever. And also, how the video looks when it's uploaded to YouTube may also look a bit different, because I will be uploading it using software on my new laptop that I've not used to upload any previous videos. So tell me what you guys think about that as well, as that is how I'll be uploading videos for this and probably the next few years. So now that I'm done talking about myself, let's go into the deck, shall we? So this is a little bit of a remake of my previous deck, which was an Earth Danian Infect deck. Now the difference obviously here is that now it's a multi-tribe Earth Infect deck. All the main creatures are the same. The locations and attacks and battle gear are mostly the same. The Mujics are almost completely different, and the creatures are almost completely different. So the only guy who we have here, still with the Zerum armor, is Jal, who obviously has 35 courage, which is pretty bad. 55 energy, with the ability when he deals earth damage, the engaged creature becomes infected, the damaged creature becomes infected, and if he's fighting an opposing creature who is infected, he gains Earth 5. And he has the Zerum armor, because that way he can last for a good long while. It would take at least like 3 20 hitting moves to kill him. Then we have someone who I've been wanting to use for a long time. We have Zamul, considered probably one of the best creatures in the game. Let's see if I can get you guys a clear image of him. So, while engaged, while Zamul is engaged, the opposing creature cannot play Mujic or abilities. That is huge. He also has 1 Mujic counter, Earth, 85 courage, which is really good. He just in general has like very good to average stats, and 60 energy and Earth. And with the Danian Carapace, when he deals damage to an engaged creature, that creature will become infected. And if Zamul were to die, which would be very difficult to do, then his opponent's battle gear is destroyed and replaced with the Danian Carapace. On the other side, we have Mujic, who also has a Danian Carapace. He has Earth and Air, 60 energy, no Mujic counters. When I control a Danian, he gains Earth 5. So because I have 2 Danians, he obviously has Earth 5. He has 80 courage, and like average wisdom and pretty high speed, just like Zamul. Not nearly as good power, and he has the exact same battle gear, a Danian Carapace. So all 3 of these guys can infect whoever they go into combat with, which is huge. That is the whole idea behind this deck, because as you noticed, I'm not using the same backline Danians who have the ability to infect creatures with special abilities without getting into combat. So here we have the essential player for why I decided to make this deck. We have Van Ra. Van Ra has 2 Mujic counters, 45 energy, Earth, though you don't want him to get into combat, and 55 courage, which is the only stat we care about, and it's still not that good. Now his ability is, non-Danian creatures you control deal an additional 5 attack damage against infected creatures. So that means Mujic and Zamul, and also Tangnith Toborn if he gets into a fight. You don't want Nadrin to get into a fight in any way he would lose. Will do an extra 5 damage with each of their attacks. I was considering giving him a Gigan Trooper in case he gets attacked, but I thought a Bio-Mower Cycle would be better, just because that way Van Ra could sack it in order to allow Zamul to close in on a more threatening or team essential player your opponent controls, and that way just rip apart your opponent's deck entirely. Now over here we have Tangnith Toborn, the #1 defender in Chaotic, pretty much. He has the Citadel Lodestone, so that way he gains Earth. He has Defender, so this way he can defend literally everyone except Zamul, and Zamul needs the least protection by far because his ability is amazing. Tangnith Toborn has 65 energy, fire and water, which we don't really care about. If you control an Underworlder, he has Fire 5, which we don't care about. If you control a Mepedian, he has Disarm, which is amazing. And if you control a Danian, he has Element Proof, All Elements 5. And he has 65 Courage, which isn't that great, but still, if he's going to gain at least 5 to 10 energy and Disarm against everyone he fights, and he can defend anyone on the board except Zamul, that is a huge benefit. Not to mention he has the highest average health. Then we have Nadrin. This one was a bit more difficult to decide who to put in my back line. He has the Weightless Energy Vessel, and whenever his courage is 25, but we don't care about it. He has 3 Mujic counters, 30 energy, and when an opposing creature gains a Mujic counter, like a Flood Morpher, for instance, or if they use like a Balladier's Flute or a Ropashak Chime Grid, then Nadrin gets a Mujic counter. This is Nadrin Flood Morpher's foe, just to be specific, because there's like 3 of him. He also has the ability pay a Mujic counter, target creature gains 5 energy, and pay 2 Mujic counters, dispel target Marillion Mujic. So now to go along with these creatures, we have a set of interesting Mujics. We have a Song of Resurgence to heal 20, a Fanfare of the Vanishing to give a creature Earth and Earth 5 if they were to lose Earth or don't have it, in the case of like Tangnith Toborn. These are both to be cast by Nadrin. If I had a Overworld Refrain of Denial, I would give him that, but unfortunately I don't. Instead, we have 2 Cadence Clashes. both of which could either be cast by Vanhra or Nadrin. And then we have an Infectious Melody, cost 2 Mujics, infects up to 2 target uninfected creatures. This one could definitely be replaced, but I didn't think of anything that suited the deck more. So this is really in case your opponent plays an attack like Acid Wash or another ability that removes infection. Or if for some reason you want to give them Infect before the battle starts. Or also if like Zamuel or Mujicin's battle gear gets destroyed. So that can be played by Vanhra. But this one is really not essential. This is more a just in case. So because of that, you can have Nadrin cast the 2 Cadence Clashes, and Nadrin could get a 4th Mujic counter fairly easily. Also because Fanfare of the Vanishing is also... Sorry, not Fanfare of the Vanishing. Fanfare of the Elemental Champions, that's what I meant to say, is also just in case one of your creatures loses Earth. And then Discord of Disarming to be cast by Zamuel in case someone has something like a Zerum Armor or a Biomower Cycle or something that could be equally devastating for your guys, or a Bodil's Dagger. So then we have the locations. I basically just switched out one location for this. Instead of putting in Foothold Assault Trench, obviously since we're using more than one tribe, instead of putting that, I decided for Gorom's Briefing. Initiative Courage. At the beginning of combat, engaged creatures gain 5 energy and 5 to all disciplines for each tribe you control. So your guys would obviously gain 20 energy and 20 to all disciplines. That is if none of your tribes are completely wiped out. Then we also have a Ropa Shack Chime Grid. Because of Nadrin's ability, your opponent would gain 1 Mujic counter, but you would gain 2. So that's super useful. We considered putting another one in. The Infectorium. So for this deck, I would actually only want 1, just because 2 of your main fighters are non-Danians, and its ability is at the beginning of combat, deal 15 damage to infected engaged non-Danian creatures, meaning that this one's really only useful if you're fighting with Jal. Then 2 Mount Pillar Reservoirs Liberated. Just so initiative is Danian, though that's not that big a priority, and both players have to infect one of their creatures. Silchaw's Mine, basically the same thing as Zerum Armor, except it's a location that applies to earth creatures. 2 Gloomuk Swamps, so earth deals 5 extra and fire deals 5 less. Initiative Courage. And then 2 Hive Galleries, so power deals 5 less and courage deals 5 more, and initiative Earth. I might want to replace either a Mount Pillar or a Hive Gallery with another Ropa Shack or Gorom's Briefing, just because the combinations you can make with those are really good for your deck's build-up, or your Mujic build-up in the case of Ropa Shack. And of course, if your opponent has some Mepeti and Balladier's Flute, then you would gain 2 Mujic counters, which is pretty awesome as well. Enough rambling. So now on to the attacks. We have Primal Smash for 20 base damage, Grounding Grapple, for the reasons that I said in the previous deck, but also like moving around your locations, especially when you have something like Gorom's Briefing, which can like give you a huge initial boost, or also for something like the Infectorium, if you want to ensure that like Zamuel and Mujicin don't get damaged by your own location, then it's gonna be pretty useful. Not to mention just 30 damage is staggering. And with Mujic and Jal, it would do, with Jal it would do 35, and with Mujic it would do 40. So with Zamul it would also do 35, but you get the point. Clean Slide, Sunderground. I decided to get rid of another Sunderground just because I thought expending your Earth for 10 damage isn't really that great of a trade-off. 2 Spirit Gusts for 5 damage. Purifying Mud for 10 damage, and also you heal 5. Not to mention, if you're using Tangnith Toeborn, it would do an extra 10 for fire because he has fire 5. Gravel Grind for 10. 2 Earth Shapes. I decided to get rid of Arbor Smash in favor of 2 Earth Shapes. A Petrifying Power. 2 Earth Pulses. 2 Infectious Implosions for 15 damage if your opponent is infected. Mineral Mayhem, 2 of them, for either 10 base damage or plus 100 courage, which would be great for Jal because his courage is so low, or also just great against a Gantrak deck. Or against another courage deck if you're afraid that like your guy's courage doesn't match up to your opponent's because they're not built for challenges. And then 2 Enlightened Tenacities and a Tectus Strike for another 30 damage, and then Enlightened Tenacity would do like 20. And this is not including all the modifiers from Vanhran, like the Earth 5. So the way that the deck is built, just to once again to go over it, Tangnith Toeborn can defend everyone except Zamul. Zamul's ability makes him irreplaceable because he can completely eliminate your opponent's strategies by negating their abilities and Mujic, at least while he's engaged. Mujic would get the most damage output because Vanhra would make his do an extra 10, and then his ability would make him have Earth 5, so he would already have 10 plus 10 base damage bonus, unless you were to use something like Primal Smash, which is a non-Earth attack. Jal would be doing the plus 5, as would Zamul, and then of course Jal has the Zerum armor, so he can survive longer, and he can infect creatures on his own without the need of battle gear, which is pretty amazing. Song of Nadrin is here to be your Mujic caster and to dissuade your opponent from using things like Mepetian Balladier's Flute and Ropa Shack, because then you'll gain more Mujic counters, which you can either use to dispel your opponent's Marillion Mujic or heal your other guys, or play a 4th Mujic on Nadrin. Or if you have an Overworld Refrain of Denial, you should definitely replace a Cadence Clash with one of those. And then, of course, Vanhra, his ability makes it that Zamul and Mujic and Tangnith Toeborn will do an extra 5 damage against infected creatures. And then Tangnith Toeborn will defend all of your guys, as I said, except for Zamul, and render your opponent's battle gear useless, and also gain additional health from his element proofing. So that is the basic rundown of this deck. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions on how I could alter this deck, as I also didn't get any suggestions on the last deck review, or as I previously mentioned, if you have any comments on the quality of this video, either because of the new camera or using my laptop as opposed to my previous video camera and my computer, then please also leave that in the comments. So yeah, guys, thanks again for watching. Goodbye.